Really? Well, that's true. Yeah, in comparison, I feel like I'm still recovering from Warped Tour.
Yeah, that's it. You never get rid of all that dirt. It's fucked.
All right. This is Jackie, and I'm here with your all-access interview. I'm here with Winston of Parkway Drive in the middle of your Ire tour.
Yeah. Smack bang in the middle. That's
right in the middle. And so your album Ire is out now on Epitaph. It's been out for a little over a month and a half-ish.
So around that, 1 or 2 months, somewhere around there.
What day is it?
I lost count. We started touring the day it came out, so I haven't had no time to. I'm still getting up on stage going, last week we put an album out, and I'm like, no, actually it's been like 40 days or something, so I don't know. Yeah.
Well, things are going well. What are some of the main messages you hope fans pick up from the album? Or you can pick a couple. Or you can pick a couple of songs. It's fine too.
Yeah, you know what? The entire album, like the word "ire" means anger, and as you can tell by most of our music, it's a pretty pissed off album. But the whole message that I did want to encapsulate on the album was, it's okay to be angry, and I think we live in a world these days where the whole idea of not speaking out and acknowledging that something is wrong is not rocking the boat. Seems to be the thing that people are told to do. Just rely on someone else to fix the problem, and don't be angry, don't be mad at this, everyone's got to be positive, blah 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 blah. And positivity is fantastic. I'm like one of the most positive people in the world, but unless you acknowledge that something's wrong when it actually is, you're never going to actually be able to make a change.
Well said. And so this album took a little while to come out. Was that intentional?
It wasn't so much intentional in the sense of us saying, let's leave it for ages, but it was intentional in the sense of it took a very long time to write. This is the first album where we chose to go in quite a different direction than anything we've done in the past, which basically necessitated a very different writing process. I'm basically reinventing our writing process full stop. So it's kind of hard to rush something like that. We had no timeline for it. It was the kind of thing where I said, let's write new music, and when we're done, we'll record it. But we can't push it. That's just the way it worked. So ended up being 3 years.
It's probably nice to not have to keep up with the album cycles. I feel like are getting really fast now.
Really fast. It's like fast food music. It's crazy. Like, I don't know. For us, we've never done it that way, simply because we only ever record what we write, and we only ever write what we like. So we're never ones to just create whatever and say that's good enough, leave it. It's just this time around there was so much to choose from when it came from sounds. It took us a while to figure out how we were going to create those sounds and craft them into songs that represented the band.
Too much is a good problem to have. Not enough, not so good.
Yeah, exactly, that's it.
This time around, it sounds like there are some songs on Ire that are more radio friendly, especially Crushed. Was that deliberate or kind of a happy accident, or a little bit of both?
It's a little bit of both. The thing is, we never really know what is radio friendly, because other than one station in Australia who just play alternative music, there's no radio for our kind of music, full stop. Like, nothing. So when we write songs, there's never the idea of like, we got to do this, 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 and this, and then it'll make it onto radio. It's just simply the fact of us going, well, nothing's making it onto radio, so let's just do whatever the hell we want. That being said, this time around we wanted basically the spectrum of our sound to be much more varied. And when it came to a couple of the songs, like, there was just simply parts that came out a hell of a lot softer. The strange things with Crush is it has probably some of the more melodic, softer parts, but that chorus is probably one of the heaviest things on the entire record, so it goes in both directions, so you can never pick something like that.
The good things happen.
Yeah,
you release videos for Crushed and for Vice Grip. Did you, now you can tell me off the record, I'm still going to record it anyway. Was Crush just a really good excuse to go skydiving?
Oh, that was Vice Grip, but yeah.
Vice Grip, sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, it was and it wasn't, in the sense of I didn't ever want to go skydiving. Like, I was really, like, terrified of heights. It was my main fear before doing it, and it was a good excuse to kick me in the butt and say, actually, you better practice what you preach. You write a whole song about this, and maybe you should actually work on some of your fears. And yeah, life changer, which is very, very nice. Really, really nice. Like, it's such an amazing thing to do, and I'm completely hooked now, so it's great. It was terrifying, but now it's not.
As someone who's still terrified of heights, it was fun to watch, but I'm like, I could never do that, so that's a good excuse. So that was Vice Grip, you're right. Crushed was the most recent one, which had a really interesting treatment to it. Tell me a little bit about that and how that came to be.
Yeah, that was a really strange one. It was interesting because it came straight off the back of iScript and us saying, how the hell do we put out something that competes with us jumping out of an airplane? And Ben happened to have that concept of screwing around with gravity through trick photography. And we always thought that that'll be way too much, simply because it's a pretty Hollywood kind of effect. It's pretty big, and luckily the guys at Ambitious Films, the dudes that we worked with in Germany, said, "No, we'll do it. We'll make it." And they made a whole room and spun that thing while we were in it, and it was actually probably more dangerous than skydiving, to be honest. It was psycho.
I saw the making of the video, and I can imagine that you'd get beat up probably more in that box, in that rotating box, than just falling out of the sky.
Yeah, that was it. The walls were made out of sandpaper, so you could actually stick to them. So if you fell and you slid, you just got torn. And then all the fixtures you see in that room while we're flying around are fixed to the ground, and they're steel. So there's like a steel table and lamp and stuff. And it was, I think, 10 feet by 10 feet, the room. So if you happen to be caught up on the side of the room when it spins up, and then you drop the whole way and you landed on a table, like, it was gnarly. Like, we had people going through, like, foot through windows, like, chains to the head. Like, there was very little calculation to what was going on. It was literally like, press play and try and survive for a minute. That's it. So, yeah.
Well, the end product looks amazing.
Yeah.
You know, definitely mission accomplished on that. That's great. You guys don't tour often very much in the U.S. Why now?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I didn't yell at you.
Yeah, no, it's not so much that we don't tour in the US. It's just we tour everywhere, and it takes a long time to get back to the start, because it's just a big touring cycle. We started a process a long time ago when we realized that we were going to be basically touring for our lives. That you got to balance the touring and the off time so you don't get burnt out. We want to be able to give everything we have on stage every night, and once you get over a certain amount of shows, you start losing the energy and losing the passion. So you got to balance that out with your home life, and we all have families at home. So for every tour, we have the same amount of time at home. So it means half and half, and that amount of time means it's like literally like a year before we get to come back to places. That being said, as well, we have definitely decided that we're going to make much more of an effort to come back to America more often. So there we go. Exclusive.
There you go. There you go. Lots of flying. I mean, I can only imagine how many thousands of miles you guys fly in 1 year.
Many.
Well, there's a lot going on in the world in total, especially in the past week or so, unfortunately. I think all of us as people of the world, as citizens of the world, we're still just trying to wrap our heads around everything that's happened from Beirut to Paris, and even just things in our own country. What are some things that are going on right now that might inspire some songwriting in the future?
Oh Lord, it's everything, to be honest. It's I'm not necessarily a person that sits down and all of a sudden goes, I'm going to write about X. It's just writing happens when it happens, and it's strange because it's been the way with every other record I've written. Everyone's always said, what inspires you? And I've literally just said, the world, life. Like, it's not hard to find inspiration for good or bad on this planet. And it's a sad thing in the sense of the fact that it seems to be me finding negative things to write about more than positive. And that's simply because I like to address things that I feel shouldn't be forgotten about. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious to see that we are definitely slipping down very slippery slopes at this point in time. And it's starting to hit home harder and harder and harder, and it's a bit more frantic for people. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely there's so much going on right now. But on the lighter side, you have a show in Las Vegas coming up, which will be warmer.
Yeah.
Guarantee that on December 7th, and there you're doing something with a Sweet Relief Fund. What is the importance with that?
Oh Lord, wait up! You're gonna have to cut this one out.
Okay.
Completely forgotten.
I think fans can vote, or fans can can bid on. I believe it's a meet and greet, and the proceeds go to the Sweet Relief Fund.
Basically, we're just stoked to be able to help anyone, to be honest. And I think being in a band, it's given us all a wonderful opportunity to be able to give back. And the fact that fans get to be involved as well, I think it's one thing for a band to be able to say, we are part of X cause, or this is who we choose to support, to be able to, I guess, enlighten fans and be able to make it a community. project rather than necessarily 5 individuals or one band name behind something is the thing that probably matters to us most. I think the idea of people working together collectively to make change is the thing that I think is really, really important at this point in time. So, yeah.
And the Sweet Relief Fund goes to help other musicians, which, especially with everything going on right now with the Ghost Inside,
Yeah.
we know that medical bills are not something that musicians can afford these days. So I think that that's a really great cause.
Exactly, yeah, and yeah, it doesn't really hit home any harder than when some of your friends are going through tough times on the road. And as someone that spends half my life traveling in a bus, to know what just a fraction of the fear that I have of going through what those guys have gone through. Yeah, it's a fantastic cause. So.
So you've been on the road. Speaking of on the road, and you've been together as a band since about 2003. How do you feel the hardcore scene and the hard rock scene, or whatever mini genre, they put it in this year?
Yeah.
How do you feel it's evolved through the years?
For us, it's crazy because we come from the most isolated continent on the planet as well. So we've gone from like scene within scene within scene, and had so many labels slapped on us that it's hilarious. We're kind of sitting in the clearance bin at a Walmart with how many labels we got on us. No, it's amazing to watch it go from literally underground music to having its way on mainstream radio, to being like music videos being played on public television, to bands being household names. Like, it's all of these. It's gone through literally every phase that I thought was possible, and then some, to bands being household names. Like, it's pretty nuts.
And sold out shows on this IRE tour.
Yeah, that's it. Like, it's to go. We've literally gone from you're talking about personally as a band. Parkway has gone from going from a town with 10 to 15,000 people playing to 20 kids in a youth centre. That was our goal. And now we're on the other side of the world, playing a bunch of sold-out shows, doing interviews for national radio on a continent on the other side of the planet. Like, that is an absolutely bizarre thing to say to your 12-year-old younger self, hey, this is going to happen. Like, I would have just laughed. So, yeah.
Much has changed. So what do you think is going to be up next for Parkway Drive after this tour cycle? And rest.
And rest, yeah. To be honest, not much rest. Like, it's... this is probably the first time that we've created something that we honestly feel doesn't have boundaries. Everything up until this point in time we created simply with this notion that there's only so much we can do with the music, and everything was always a fantastic surprise when it went that little bit further, but we never had the drive to do anything more than that. And this time around we've put our heart and soul into creating something that we think has, and we hope has, the ability to push this band creatively further than anything we've done before, and that means sonically and visually. So that's what we're aiming at. We're actually trying to do something more.
Well, you got to keep busy, so stay tuned for much more from Parkway Drive. This is Jackie, thanks to All Access and In the Key of Change. Nice. All right. If I could trouble you for 2 more things.
Yeah, of course.